everyone. My name is Ashely Machado. I grew up in a small town called Chowchilla, California. My grandparents immigrated here from the Azores, which is a small group of islands off the coast of Portugal, and they started a dairy farm. I grew up on that dairy. I grew up on my family's almond orchard and swimming and playing water polo, and it wasn't that we didn't talk about our feelings. It was just like, oh, we gotta work. Oh, maybe I should talk to my parents about this. Oh, we're gonna go work. And I think that served us for a while. But the thing is, when we kind of deflect our feelings, they tend to bubble up. And then we end up, yelling at each other in the middle of working with your family, working maybe like if you have a beef ranch and you're working cows, I hear this a lot. Then all of a sudden there's like tension and things are happening. That's what happens when we deflect our feelings a lot. And I've always been interested in human behavior and the way we think about things. So I was like, you know what? I gotta get out of here. So my roots run deep though, and I ended up in another agriculture area in Sonoma County. And I got my BA in human development, and then I went down to LA and got my master's in social work with an emphasis in clinical mental health. But I found myself missing the small town life and nature and trees and, all the things that make ag really beautiful and what it is. And at the time, I was dating my now husband, who's back there in the right corner. And so I moved home. Shortly after I graduated, we got married, and shortly after that, I was pregnant, and in the fall of 2016, my firstborn, Olive, came. I struggled a little bit with postpartum anxiety, and that winter in California, we got enough rain to eradicate an almost decade-long drought that we had been experiencing. And my husband, he raises dairy calves for local dairymen, so anyone who has beef, you know what it's like to have bottle calves. Well, that's what our whole ranch is. And it's really hard to raise bottle calves in wet and rainy conditions. And every year we go around to our dairies and we give out Christmas presents to all the dairymen, and I could just see it on their faces, just the stress and the overwhelm and like sadness and just the heartache that, comes with the hard times that are in agriculture. And I was like, okay, well, we got to find some resources. I put my social worker hat on and I was like, I got to find something. And I couldn't find really any resources for any of these dairy farmers, for my husband, for anyone really kind of struggling with their mental health, me. And I was like, wow, we have to do better about finding resources for mental health in agriculture. And so I started on this mission to bring mental health resources and tools to rural America. And when Charles reached out to me about leading this panel, I was like, yes, this is exactly what I think we should be talking about. He was like, I don't want to talk about breaking the stigma. I think we've been talking about that for a while. I think this is going to be great if we talk and provide resources. And I was like, that's exactly what I want to do. So what we've put together is tools and resources for you guys. And as soon as you leave this room, you are going to be able to take action in something. So let me introduce the rest of the panel. I got a couple of their accolades written down. Let's see. Okay, so, wait, where is this? Okay, well, I'll just go off memory. Calli, she's going to be talking about how our mental health affects our leadership and how it can affect our finances. She is a Maxwell leadership team member and also mental health aid certified. So she goes out and certifies other people in rural America on mental health. Then Amanda Calli, by the way. Oh, yeah, Calli, raise your hand. Amanda's going to be talking about how exercise and our physical health affects our brain and our mental health, and she has a stack full of certifications. Among them is she's a certified personal trainer. And then we have Jessica. She is the director of Nebraska Women in Ag and an extension educator. And I didn't know this. We've been working together for a while, but she is one of the lead people on one of the largest grants for stress management in the country. So that's pretty awesome. And then Katie also works for Nebraska Women in Ag. She also works for the extension office, and she's getting her master's in school counseling. So you guys are in great hands today. Okay, this conversation is really, really important because we are one of the leading industries in suicide rates in the nation. And there's 1 to 2% of us, and we feed 100% of the world. So we have to take care of ourselves. And it's impeccable and so important for us to be able to take care of ourselves because we feed the world. And without us, how are we going to be eating as a nation? Just like Jocko said this morning, we are one of the reasons why the U.S. goes round. So Calli's going to lead us with some questions. Do you have your mic? Okay. How does mental health affect our leadership skills, and in what way?
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I had to think what time it was. So when it comes to mental health and leadership skills, I think that's where I kind of get the best of both worlds in the work that I get to do, because I'm out there giving trainings focusing on leadership, but then also the mental health trainings like Ashely said. And so I think it can affect us in so many different ways, especially when I'm talking specifically to the ag industry. Because think about it, whether you are out there feeding cattle or you're putting in crops, and you're by yourself, right, a lot of the time. And so you can think about how the mental health affects you and your decision-making skills, but it obviously also affects your health, your finances, life at home with your family and stuff, and what those conversations look like. And so I think one of the big things is it obviously impacts ultimately the decisions that we're going to make. When we recognize the thoughts that we're having, that then gives us a certain feeling, and ultimately that's going to give us results. And so one thing that I always tell people though is there is an okay amount of stress. Like, we're going to have hard in life. I often tell people life is 50-50. It's going to be 50% good and 50% bad. And so instead of just trying to get rid of the bad, how do we handle that and stuff? And so I think that's something that I'm able to bring to the table when I talk to people about their thoughts and stuff. And so just having that reality of there's going to be a mix, but how do we handle that when we're in this industry, because we face it a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one of the most important things too, is like how there is always going to be bad. How do we handle it? How do we work through it? How do we process it? And we're going to be talking about that, so I'm excited for that. And at the end, I wanted to share, there's going to be a QR code on the screen. You guys can take a picture of it, and it's going to provide you with a little PDF on your phone. You can download it, and it's going to have all of the tools and resources that we're talking about today. Okay, we're going to combine these second two questions. Does our mental health affect our ability to be innovative on our operations, and how does it affect our ability to make money and grow our business?
Right, and I like this question a lot because it makes me think about some of the scenarios that my family has been in when it comes to making business decisions and stuff, because if we have poor mental health, we're not able to make really great decisions when we're in those moments and stuff. I think back to 2020 when COVID hit, and I was homeschooling my 3 children. We've got now an 11, 9, and 5-year-old, I think, and was homeschooling not on purpose. That was not by choice. That's because they were all obviously home at that time. And I remember my husband looked at me one night and he said, and at the same time, I started homeschooling because obviously all the kids were at home then, but then also a lot of my work, like every day something was canceled. It was canceled. It was deleted. It was crossed off my calendar. And so I was really losing a lot of my work. But then my husband said to me one night, the kids were in bed, and he's like, I think we should start selling beef. And I know that I just like looked at him and I looked back at my phone and just ignored him completely, because I thought, how can I do one more thing, right? But the interesting thing when I look at it from his perspective is being in a good mental health state, you can be creative. You can have different outside ideas. You can be looking ahead and have gut instinct instead of thinking, it's COVID, the world is coming to an end, woe is me. And I think we had that same situation too when it came to last year. I'm from North Dakota, up in the northwest corner, and last year was the worst drought on record for our county. And again, that would have been another incredible time for us to easily be thinking, this is awful, this is bad, everything's going to go downhill. But instead, if you have a more positive thought and think, what can we do because this is the current circumstance we've been given? And I coach a lot of clients, whether it's individuals or families and stuff. And instead of always letting our brain go to the negative, I often try to think, okay, this is the circumstance we've been handed. How do I want to show up to it? What are the thoughts that I want to have around it? And so we were able to pivot yet again and have a phenomenal year. You know, being able to pivot some of our businesses, maybe get rid of some cows and instead run some yearlings. Or what are some of the ways we can be more creative because I'm in a positive mindset? And I will tell you, I've seen and I've heard a lot of stories where it's so easy to, if you've never read The Gap and the Gain, I know a lot of people have here, it's so easy to kind of be in that gap and always see the negative and what's wrong because it's always out there. We can find it if we want to. But I think when it comes to mental health and being able to make business decisions, you're going to be able to make more sound decisions that are going to make a better impact on your family, your finances, and everything when you can be more in that gain and really thinking about, okay, I have a choice here on how I want to think about this situation and how I want to handle it. And so I think that's a big difference in how it can affect your bottom line, especially in this industry. And it's something that I think can be talked about a lot more, which is why, like Ashely said, I now do mental health first aid trainings. I can often go into a room like this and ask people, who has first aid or CPR training? How many of you guys have that? I mean, a lot of places it's mandatory, right? Who here is mental health certified? Okay, we have a few less hands, but there's a few, right? And so that's something that we're able to provide then to people so they can notice, are these early signs and symptoms, or am I all the way to crisis, right? And am I able to talk to somebody about it because this is impacting family and business?
Yeah, definitely. And when she talks about the gain, she talks about thinking about how far we've come. So instead of being like, the drought is terrible right now, look at what we're losing, thinking about, okay, how far have we come since X? Okay, so now we have Amanda, and we're gonna start getting into the tools and resources. How does exercise affect and or benefit our mental health?
Hi, everyone. Oh, is that on? Yeah. Oh, there we go. Well, first and foremost, exercise is a great form to impact your mental health because the interconnection between physical and mental health is so intertwined. I want you guys to look at mental health and think of physical health. Because when you start to work on a physical transformation, you're not only going to impact your mental health, you're going to improve a lot of things in a physical transformation, from not only how you view life, how you take situations, how you deal with certain situations that arise. And so I personally love physical health because I myself struggled with my own mental health when it came to, sorry, I'm shaking, I'm a little nervous. So, I don't do a lot of panels, so I'm really excited to be here because, you know, I struggled with my own mental health, and going back to 2020 was the biggest thing. You know, I sold insurance door to door, and I loved it, and actually I serviced a lot of people in the agriculture industry. And so when our house burnt down and there was a lot of things that happened on top of the pandemic, it was physical health was such a big component for me because it was my space. It was my space where I could do whatever I want. I could put as much effort as I want into that time. There was a lot of times where my workouts were crying. Like, I totally released a lot of stress. And so, you know, a physical transformation impacts your mental transformation because you can do something for yourself to release these amazing things called endorphins in your body. And so it doesn't matter how old you are. I mean, you can be as young as 8. I mean, we had an 8-year-old today go through the tire flipping program, and actually he's on the leadership board. And we've even had a 70-year-old today go through that has never worked out, and he's on the leadership board. You know, and so like lifting something as easy as a tire. So if you guys don't know, we do the Farmer Olympics down there at the trade show, but something as a tire can be empowering, and it can really boost your mentality because you feel unstoppable and you feel that rush of endorphins, and it's a really impact. And so when I launched Farm Fit Training in 2021, that was the goal. Like, I only service agriculture industry. Like, my mission statement is I give the ag industry tools and strategies not only to lose weight, build that lean, sexy muscle, but also create a healthy mindset around creating a sustainable lifestyle. And think about that. Just that mission statement alone, there's so many amazing things you can do in a physical transformation. And it's as simple as just picking up a weight or picking up a tire. It doesn't have to be complex. It can be super simple. And so that's what my mission is. And so back to her question, I really went long there, is that impacts so many ways. It builds a confidence. Confidence is a beautiful thing, and we definitely need it in our industry. Even if you're advocating about mental health, or if you're advocating for your farm, or you're talking to seed dealers, cropped, or you're talking, whoever you're dealing with on your farm, you still need to be confident in yourself and you believe in yourself. And so, mental health and physical health correlate together because of the fact that confidence is something that, and I'm going to say it, our industry needs, especially at this time, because we're the backbones of America, and we need to be confident in ourselves and what we're bringing to the table. And there's a lot of amazing people out there that are advocating for our industry, but who's advocating for us? And that's the whole idea of Farm Fit Training is I'm advocating for you guys. I'm giving you guys a solution to impact your mental health in a different form through a physical transformation. So that was long. Sorry.
It's okay. So what you're saying is that physical exercise improves our mental health by giving us
tenfold.
Yes. Helping us with our confidence, releasing those healthy endorphins, those feel-good endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, all of those things.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to say, I was actually going to have you guys plank today, but I won't be that mean. Don't worry. So I have a planking challenge going on right now. I have amazing sponsors for it, John Deere, Salford, and Titan Goodyear. But the whole idea, so behind the planking challenge, and again, I'm not going to make you guys plank. I was really thinking about it. I was like, gosh, these people all look like they want to just plank for 30 seconds. But I won't make you guys, I promise. But, the ideal behind the planking challenge, just real fast, is something like 30 seconds. Planking is such a simple movement. You're not moving, you're holding a position. But planking boosts your mood, aligns your body. It not only aligns your body, you're working multiple muscle groups at once. Again, back to physical fitness. So something like planking, even 30 seconds a day, can impact your mental health tenfold. And so it goes back to, physical and mental health and how that connection is because, a lot of people think, oh, I need to go work out 45 minutes to an hour. No, you don't. You can work out 15 to 20 minutes. You can go for a brisk walk and have intention behind it. Not just a walk, like a brisk walk. You can plank for 30 seconds, and that can change your whole entire personality. And so one of my go-to slogans, if you ever visit my website, is life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. And a lot of the times when you really think about that 10% situation, just like what we went through as a family in 2020, I could have totally taken it a whole different direction. I could have been, woe is me. We lost our house before the pandemic. Now where are we going to live? But, for me, again, I used physical transformation. I started posting my fitness journey online. I started having people ask me questions about what I was doing. They're like, how are you functioning? And so it goes into the mental health aspect. And I'm sorry, I've taken too long.
You just answered the rest of your questions.
Oh, beautiful.
Okay. So, how long does it take? You just said you can do a plank for 30 seconds and you're going to feel better.
Like something simple, like planking. Yeah. So again, the plank challenge is completely free. If you guys are interested, it's something simple as planking, and again, any fitness level. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
It's okay. What is one more thing? So planking, and you can do it for 30 seconds. You're going to feel better. What's one more exercise?
A brisk walk. I mentioned a brisk walk.
Yeah.
You can walk a brisk walk across your farm yard. Like something that simple. Again, it doesn't have to be complicated. A lot of times we think, oh, I have to buy all this special equipment. In 2020, I was flipping tires. I was using cinder blocks. I was using anything and everything on the farm. And that's what I want you guys to realize is the farm is truly a CrossFit haven. It's like a gym in your own backyard. It just takes that little creativity activity, as far as like planking, or walking, or, diving into nutrition. But it's just got to be intentional. So if you're going to like plank, 30 seconds, perfect. If you're going to go for a brisk walk, do it 10 minutes across the farm. Just be intentional. Sometimes taking yourself away from a situation and resetting yourself is the best mental health check-in you can do. And it ties back to physical fitness.
Cool. Okay, so Katie and Jessica are gonna, and you can use mine too. So what mental health resources are available to people in ag?
Yeah, so hi everybody. My name is Jessica, like Ashely said, and I'm a regional economist. And you're going, well, why is there an economist talking about mental health? And I think it's really important as we think about what causes stress in agriculture. And finances are one of the top things that cause stress in agriculture. And so that's why The Economist is on the stress grant. So recently, the USDA put together what they call farm and ranch stress assistance networks. And there are 4 of these networks across the country. So if you're not from this area, you can find out more about your area on the screen. And I think it's a really awesome opportunity where USDA is providing local resources for stress assistance. And we like to recognize that it's not just suicide prevention. There's stress, anxiety, worry, and sometimes that's what builds into those larger challenges. And so we're looking to provide resources in all of those areas. You want to click forward one? So just a little bit more about the Midwestern Farm and Ranch Stress Assistance Network. We're made of 15 organizations that include cooperative extension, as well as nonprofits and local public health organizations. So there's lots of resources that are out there and that are available. So again, The Economist talking about stress. One of the projects that we're working on here in the Midwest is providing financial basically literacy. So I teach a financial management course every month online, and actually I've had participants from across the country. And so we talk about, what does your balance sheet look like? What is your banker looking for? If we're going in for an operating note, what does that look like? And just building that confidence in a different way to provide you with the resources that you need so that you can sit across from that banker and say, I know I look a little weak here, but I'm really strong here, or I have a plan. And I think it's really important when we think about an organization like Extension or one of these nonprofits, we have no skin in the game on the decisions that you make. We really are here in an advisory role as kind of, sometimes I joke that it's the discount double check, right? You have a question about the inputs you're putting on. Ask Extension. Your tax dollars pay our salaries. And so we're just one of those resources that are out there for you. And that doesn't just include mental health and financial management. That includes agronomy, animal nutrition, family wellness and well-being. There's lots of resources that are provided by these types of organizations that also are interested in making sure that you have the mental health and well-being that you need.
And I am Katie Hothem. I am a support in Jessica's big stress grant that she mentioned. And I am going to share a little bit about some of the programming that we have done through our Nebraska Women in Ag. We've done a class on breaking down anxiety, and just last week, fighting winter blues. Both of those were virtual, and Ashely was the teacher for both of them. And we learned a lot as the facilitators of that we're not alone in rural America on feeling maybe isolated. A lot of things these gals have already talked about with some of the challenges the last 5 years have brought, whether it be natural disasters. Here in Nebraska, we know about the flood or COVID. And just little things like, oh, it's okay to stay after church and chit chat for a while, or go to the co-op and have coffee and just be around people more. And I think it's just great to know that you're not the only one who's feeling those things. Or even for the moms in the room, I have 2 young children and I have a rancher husband. We also do direct sale beef like Calli, saying, oh, I'm gonna ask my parents or in-laws for help and with my kids, and knowing that that's okay. Just some other little strategies. I read a book last year called Get Out of Your Head. It's by Jenny Ellen. I would highly recommend it. And in there, she talks about saying the last 2%. So you find 2 or 3 people who you can trust, and you can talk about things that are really bothering you or frustrating you, whether it's financial, physical, leadership-wise. Getting that, saying it out loud, puts the light on it. And that can really make a big difference in your mental well-being, just talking about those things. And that was a big thing that we saw even in those programming that we provided because of the stress grant. People were able to talk those things out and realize how important it is to discuss those things. I would also encourage you to think about resources that you have down the road. So one of the questions is, where can we go? Yes, you can go online, but don't forget to look up and look around you. I recently this summer contacted one of my best friends in my community of Sumner, Nebraska, and said, we never see each other. Our husbands are both busy. Let's meet every other Friday morning at 6 a.m. and have coffee. If you're not a morning person, meet at 9 o'clock and have a beverage then. And that has made a big difference for me in just getting out and seeing people, and for both of us to have that one-on-one time without our kids there. Not that, I mean, we love our kids, but just to be able to focus on what's going on in each other's lives. That is another true resource that I would encourage you to do. Who are the people in your community that can be resources? And then lastly, I would just encourage you with a Bible verse, Proverbs 4:25. This is just a personal thing, but look right in front of you instead of looking at what's around you. Because I think when we compare, especially in agriculture, like, man, they got that 160 piece of ground, or, the grass is always greener on the other side of the pasture. Instead of comparing, that can breed anxiety when we compare. Just focus on what's good and what the strengths are of your operation. So.
Perfect. What I liked that you touched on is, hold on. I don't know what happened. Okay, so I'll have to, I had a different slide on here, so I'm going to send you the QR code. Maybe you can put it in the app or something, Jody, so that they can download it, because I think some things got switched around. So, okay. What I like that she talked about is talking to other people. We often think when we talk to people, it's going to grow our stress, our anxiety, our worry. It's going to make things worse. But the thing is, when we keep it inside, the shame that we have around it is actually what makes things grow. So talking about it is what helps alleviate that. Okay, here's a really great resource, and I'm going to stand on a breathing soapbox, I think, for the rest of my life. 1, because it's free. So in ag, we love things that are free, right? 2, it's a part of our body, so it's with us wherever we go. Okay, so I'm going to lead you guys through some breathing exercises. So the first one, a lot of military people do it. A lot of people in the police or firefighters, ambulance, they all do this because it really works immediately. So put your hand on your heart. Take a deep breath in through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. You do that 4 times. Math isn't my strong suit, but I think it takes around a minute-ish. And sometimes if you're walking around our ranch, you can find me just standing with my hand on my heart breathing, because, again, 1, free, 2, it's with you wherever you go. The next breathing exercise is you breathe in 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold for a second, then do a short breath in, and then exhale 5. And then the last one I love to do with kids, and I call it hot chocolate breathing. And you don't have to act like you're holding a mug, but when kids do it, they really love it. You just act like you're holding a mug and you're like smelling the warm hot chocolate. And then when you blow out, you want your mouth to be small, and then you're blowing out really slowly. You want your exhale to be longer than your inhale. Okay, journaling. I know it's really hard for me sometimes to get people on the journaling train, but Amazon has this journal called the 5-Minute Journal, and it's about $20. And you just, in the morning, can write 3 things you're grateful for, 3 things that would make today great. That's it. And then at the end of the day, you circle back and kind of just write out how the day went. What this does is it helps with what Calli was talking about when we're focusing on, possibility, what can happen. And the thing is, in our brain, if we tell our brain we want something to happen, our brain is going to do everything it can to try and make that thing happen. So if you write out, this would be a great day if X happened, your brain is going to try and line up the possibilities for that thing to happen. And what journaling does is it just helps you to be aware. Because if we're not aware of what's going on, we don't know what tools to put in place. So when we're aware, we're like, okay, my body is feeling kind of crazy. My brain is going in 1,000,000 miles an hour. It's like, did the calves get out? Are the calves out? They're going to run down the road. What is happening? Then they're going to run down the road and I'm going to have to put them back. Has anyone ever been there thinking that at a dinner date? Because I know I have, right? Like, oh, Manny, I think I shut the door. I think I locked the gate, I think. But the breathing and the journaling, all of that just helps you to become aware of when to put the tools into place. Okay. Doing things that bring you joy help to eliminate your stress. It helps to act as a strainer. Some other things are getting outside, calling a friend, going on a walk, writing, exercising, and doing things with your hands. These are all things that are incredibly important for our mental health. And again, all free. Love free things, right? So, one thing I want to end on is how important we are, right? I've talked about this a little bit in the beginning, but it really is so important for us to take care of ourselves. Our family members see the way that we take care of ourselves, and it might feel uncomfortable to maybe start putting some of these mental health tools or resources into place. It might feel uncomfortable to make that first call to the extension office or to the helpline. But the thing is, growth is uncomfortable because we've never been there before. We've never done these things. Maybe we've never seen a family member do these things before. That's why it feels uncomfortable. And that's okay. It's okay. If you think about like a basketball player or a football player, they have to practice. They have to practice doing these things over and over and over again so that when it's game time and it's breeding season or it's branding day or it's harvest, they're ready to put these tools and resources in place. So I'm going to encourage you to journal or get the 5-minute journal and write in it every day, even when it's not a stressful time. I'm going to encourage you to practice the breathing exercises. If you're cooking dinner or out on a walk, or maybe you're in the tractor, I'm going to encourage you to do these things daily. And what it's going to do naturally is lower your baseline of stress. And then things don't feel as overwhelming as they once did. Lastly, I want you to know that... Sorry, Siri's talking to me. Maybe she's listening. I don't know. Lastly, I want you to know that you're worth it. Like the people around you, with our suicide rates being so high, about a quarter of this room, if we just go off the rates, has had suicidal thoughts. And that's really scary to know that 1 in 4 of the people around me are thinking these thoughts. And I want you to know that it's real, and our mental health is real, and taking care of our brain health is real. And these tools and these resources, they're there for you. And everything we've said besides the journal, which you would have to just order on Amazon, are things that are really easily accessible. So I think we have like a handful of minutes left. 5 minutes. So if there's any questions, we'll be mingling around and you guys can come up to us personally and talk to us about it. And if there's not any questions, I just want to say, one, thank you so much for coming and listening to the panel, because when you guys give yourself the permission to kind of learn about these things, you're also giving permission to everybody else in the room. So thank you.